My name's Sean, and this happened to me in the summer of 2009 in my small hometown of Grafton. This was right after I finished my junior year of high school. Back then, I worked nights at a small local pizza place called Giuseppe's. It wasn't anything fancy, just one of those spots everyone in town knew, with faded red booths, a soda fridge that hummed too loud, and a bell on the door that jingled every time someone came in. I was one of their delivery drivers. We only had one car for deliveries, this beat-up '98 Honda Civic that smelled permanently like garlic knots and old grease. It didn't even have a working radio half the time, so most nights were just me, the road, and whatever thoughts decided to creep in. That Friday night was slow. By the time 9:30 rolled around, we were already wiping down counters and stacking chairs. The sun was starting to dip, casting that warm orange glow through the windows. Then the phone rang. One last order, a single large supreme pizza. The address was on the outskirts of town, farther than we usually delivered, but still technically within range. I remember thinking it was odd, but I didn't question it. Tips were tips. I grabbed the box, took the keys, and headed out. It was June, so even that late, the sky still held on to light. As I drove out of town, the sun was just slipping behind the Appalachian hills, lighting up the thick green foliage in a way that almost didn't look real. The trees glowed gold at the edges, shadows stretching long across the road. It should have been peaceful, but once I passed the last familiar houses, it got quiet. Too quiet. This was before smartphones and we didn't use GPS, just a printed receipt with an address. Still, I wasn't worried. Grafton was tiny. I knew every main road like the back of my hand, or at least I thought I did. After about 10 minutes, I realized something wasn't right. The road I was on didn't look familiar anymore. The houses had thinned out, replaced by dense woods on both sides. No streetlights or signs, just darkness settling in fast. I slowed down, checking the address again, trying to piece together where I went wrong. For a minute, I felt a creeping panic that I might be truly lost. Then I came across it. A narrow dirt and gravel road branching off to the right. There was an old wooden sign at the entrance, barely visible in the fading light. I pulled closer, squinting, and managed to make out the numbers. It matched. Relieved, I turned onto the road. The trees closed in almost immediately, thick Appalachian hardwood forest on both sides. My headlights barely cut through the darkness, illuminating just enough of the path ahead to keep moving. The gravel crunched loudly under the tires, echoing in the stillness. It felt like a long driveway stretched on longer than it should have. Eventually, the trees opened up into a small clearing. That's where I saw the house. It was a two-story Victorian-style place, probably built sometime in the 1800s. Not huge, but definitely old. And more importantly, it looked abandoned. The grass in the yard was extremely overgrown. The paint on the house was peeling, windows dark, no porch light, no car in sight. I actually sat there for a second, engine idling, just staring at it. There's no way someone lives here, I thought. But the address matched. I grabbed the pizza and a flashlight from the glove compartment and stepped out of the car. The air was thick and humid, buzzing with life. Crickets chirped loudly, frogs croaked nearby, and fireflies flickered all around the yard and in the trees, giving off a faint, eerie glow. I walked up the cracked stone path toward the house, sweeping the flashlight over the siding. I remember feeling uneasy, like something just didn't add up. The house looked completely dead. I didn't even want to knock, so I decided I'd just leave. Mark it undeliverable, head back, and let the shop deal with it. I turned around, starting back toward the car. That's when I noticed it, a light, upstairs in one of the windows. It hadn't been on before, I was sure of it. My stomach dropped. The idea that someone was inside that house, made my skin crawl. But at the same time, it meant the order was legit. I hesitated, then slowly turned back and walked up onto the porch. The wood creaked under my feet. I knocked on the door. The second my knuckles hit the wood, everything went silent. The crickets stopped, the frogs stopped, even the fireflies seemed to disappear. It was like the entire forest just shut off. My heart started pounding. I took a step back, instinctively looking up toward the window. The light was still on, but now there was a figure standing there. A silhouette. It looked like a woman, long hair, just standing still, facing down toward me. I froze. And then, just as suddenly as it appeared, the figure darted away from the window. The light went out at the same time. A second later, I heard movement inside the house. Fast movement. Footsteps, heavy and hurried, coming from upstairs, then down the stairs. That snapped me out of it. I dropped the pizza right there on the porch and ran. I didn't even think. I just bolted back to the car, fumbling with the door handle before finally getting it open and throwing myself inside. As I turned the key, I glanced back toward the house. The front door was now wide open. A faint light glowed from somewhere inside, but I couldn't see anyone. I didn't wait. I threw the car into reverse, and that's when I saw her, standing directly behind the car. I don't know how she got there that fast. She was close, way too close. Just a few feet behind me, illuminated by the taillights. She looked wrong, not old, maybe late 20s or early 30s, but dirty. Her long black hair was greasy, partially matted, hanging in strands around her face. She wore this old floral dress that looked stained and worn, like it hadn't been washed in years. Her expression, I can't even fully describe it. I cranked the wheel hard, swerving around her as I slammed the gas. Gravel sprayed everywhere as the car fishtailed onto the narrow road. As I sped away, I glanced in the rearview mirror. That's when I saw it. In her hand, she was holding a long kitchen knife. I drove faster. Didn't care about the road, the car, anything. I just needed to get out of there. Eventually, I made it back onto the main paved road. The relief hit me all at once, like I could finally breathe again. And then I noticed something. The car felt off, heavy. I pulled over and got out. Both of my driver's side tires were completely destroyed, slashed. I didn't even understand how it was possible. I never saw her get close enough, but there was no other explanation. I was miles from town, no cell phone, no houses around. So I did the only thing I could. I got back in and drove. On the rims, the whole way back to Giuseppe's. The sound was awful, metal grinding against pavement, but I didn't care. I just needed to be somewhere safe. When I finally pulled into the lot, my coworkers came running out, asking what the hell happened. I told them everything, every detail. And that's when one of them picked up the receipt. He frowned. "Dude, this isn't the address you took." My stomach dropped again. He showed me the correct one. Same road name, different number, not even close to where I went. To this day, I don't know who or what I saw out there. But I do know one thing. If I had stayed to see who answered the door, I might not be here today.